Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Mr. Mankato, yes, we're still calling it that, predictions on today's show.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. It's time to get excited about a kicker. Just don't think too hard about it. Just do it.
Hey, this is Arif Hassan with the Wide Lev Substack spearheading the charge to retroactively remove Kyle Sloter from the Mr. Mankato winners list.
Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman, Pyology, Ribfest, Arif getting bullied by Chad Greenway. Bring back Mankato practices just for a day, one day.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Arif Hassan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talks Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota Football Party. And it starts now.
Welcome in Thursday edition of the Minnesota Football Party on Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making the Minnesota Football Party your first listen. Make your second listen Locked On Vikings. Wherever you find your podcasts, Luke Braun holding the fort down, providing great daily content on Locked On Vikings wherever you get your podcasts. Please subscribe to the Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel. You can watch us live Mondays and Thursdays. You can watch us on demand. Lots of other great content at Locked On Sports Minnesota as well. You met the Lukes, you met Arif. I'm Sam Ekstrom. We're talking Mr. Mankato today, the top breakout performer in training camp. We're going to talk about the nominees, the likely winners in that legendary contest. We've also got more training camp questions to answer, courtesy of Alec Lewis of The Athletic. We're going to finish off that project. And we'll talk about the unsigned J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner. That's coming down to the wire. We also hear from Ron Johnson calling in from Lake of the Ozarks, where he's trying to avoid Marty Bird and all the other Ozark clan. There's a lot of black Escalades riding around. If you know, you know. All right. Let's get into it after I remind you that FanDuel is bringing you today's show. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sportsing like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right. Mr. Mankato is a contest that goes back, 10, 15 years at this point. Hat Tip, Score North, AM 1500. They created this back in the Mankato days, which we love dearly, as Luke Inman mentioned. We love the nostalgia. It was 10 times better than Eagan. I will stand by that until I die. But we are still calling it Mr. Mankato. We're guessing the top performers of camp before camp begins. And there is a camp report date coming up soon. We've got the first press conferences on July 22nd, which is that the date of our next show? I think it's the date of our next show. So we're going to get the predictions in now before anything happens that could influence us otherwise. It's got to be fair. We get the predictions in before the official start of camp. So we'll also be talking to Ron Johnson about that when he joins shortly. But Luke Inman, we'll kick it off with you. Let's just get a quick Mankato trip down memory lane for you, because you talked about the nostalgia. I'm right with you there. I mean, those days were really unbeatable in terms of vibe and aura.
Pyology, Ribfest. Again, I joked about that stuff in the open. Arif getting bullied by Chad Greenway. I forgot speeding tickets, though, too, right? Can't forget those, because Sam in another life, I think
Corin Robinson, Adrian Peterson, Sam Ekstrom.
Jordan Addison. I think you thought you were a Formula One racer flying down Highway 169 southbound, all hopped up at 7 a.m. Off that SA trip,
Wow.
Chocolate glaze, a caramel
So
macchiato.
judgmental, too.
So. Yeah,
Can I paint the picture?
vibes.
Can I paint the picture for a second
Yes,
to
please
defend
do.
myself?
Run with
Because
it.
this
Run
is all Luke. This is all Luke's fault. Because Luke.
Oh, wait a minute.
So there's an area where the speed limit goes from 60 to 45 to 30 in like half a mile. So if
Yeah.
you're a little bit late to decelerate, you're going to get popped. That was me because Luke was talking to me. He was telling me probably about, I don't know, Brandon Fusco's blocking or something.
You lost the ability to read giant numbers on a sign because Luke was talking to you.
But this is the worst part. Luke is like nonchalantly. He's got like his feet up on the dashboard. I think one
Yeah,
foot
he
was
does.
out the
Hey,
window.
it's a long day, man.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what it
scorching
is.
heat.
He was airing
Come on.
him out, and
Probably
and
third-degree sunburns going on at that point.
Yeah,
You know, by
classic
day
Luke.
4. Come on now,
I
classic Luke.
attribute the ticket to Luke's nonchalance with the feet. I think the cop was just like, these city slickers, their feet on the
What?
dashboard.
Yeah,
They
he's doing
can't. I'm
That
ticketing
doesn't
these
make
guys.
any sense, Sam, at all.
I think it makes a lot of sense, actually. I needed a scapegoat here, and
It's
it's
a
I'm
really
gonna pin it on
well-known
Luke
speed
Inman.
trap. I can't give you that one. And I've
Sam,
let it be
driven in a
known-
car with Luke Inman. I understand the challenges here.
This is true. This is true. He knows firsthand the challenges, okay? Sam, I never followed up. Did you fight the ticket? Did you go to Mankato City Hall and say, hey, I ain't paying this one? Or did you just bite the bullet, move on to the next day? What was that, day 4, day 5 of practice?
There was not a battle. I did not hire a lawyer. I didn't have a legal fight. I don't know what jurisdiction we were in exactly. It was somewhere on the way back home from Mankato. I don't know if it was Jordan. I don't know if it was St. Peter.
It's probably St. Peter.
But I did not go back to that municipality and fight the ticket. So
Fair enough.
I-
enough.
You would have lost.
You
So-
probably would have lost. Let's be honest.
I didn't-
I'm just
yeah.
trying to, now you're jarring loose some just fun Mankato memories. You guys were there when Teddy Bridgewater and Xavier Rhodes swapped jerseys after practice and were signing autographs. You guys remember that?
Yes. Were they on the field with those jerseys, or was it just after? Were they trying
it
to
was
fool
just
us on the
after.
field?
I think it was
I think it was
just
just
after.
after.
If it was on the field, it was like they both maybe were taking practice off that day. They definitely weren't practicing, obviously, with those jerseys on the field like that. That was iconic, though. That was great.
There's so many great Mankato memories. We'll get into our Mr. Mankato predictions, but let's get Ron Johnson with an early appearance today. He's the host of the Ron Johnson Show. He had Darius Taylor, Gopher star running back, on this past Tuesday. Go check out that long-form interview. Ron's on location, Lake of the Ozarks. What a view. Look at
Wow.
that. Is that the what lake are we looking at, Ron?
I have no idea. I have not even figured it out yet. It's just the Lake of the Ozarks. I have no idea which lake
Yeah.
it is. I'm guessing that's the bridge over there. So that bridge, I'm guessing, is where Marty Bird first bought the drugs into town in
Yep.
order to launder money for the drug cartel. So I don't
Yep.
know. I'm guessing that's it.
We've been on Marty Bird watch all week. Ron, we were just reminiscing, looking back at the Mankato days. What was your favorite part or least favorite part of Mankato training camp?
Honestly, like we used to do a thing called drive-by, and so we'd have a microphone, and as players would come out the locker room, we would get to interview them. And one day, I actually did the interview, so I had like Trey Waynes, I got Harrison Smith, I got C.J. Ham, and that was one of the like, wow, like these guys, because they have to do it because it's part of the deal. And I got to do the interviews that day, so that was one of the fun days. The other one was Luke Inman. Of course, we've heard that story. Doing my first Stephon Diggs interview, his second year in the league.
Yep.
He was just standing around doing nothing because nobody knew him yet. He hadn't done Stephon Diggs stuff yet. He was just a rookie previous season. It was all about Laquan Treadwell and Adam Thielen, and Diggs was standing there. So I was like, hey man, can I get 3-4 questions with you? He's like, cool. And so I didn't have a cameraman, so I'm like, hey, you guy, come here. You look familiar. Come shoot this for
Get
me.
over here.
And
Get over here.
and that's how those are my like fondest memories. I'd say that. And then I remember Ahmad Rashad when he came to town. That was a couple years ago. Probably the last time I was at Mankato. Ahmad Rashad was on our show for the pregame show, but then he stood with me in the end zone and watched some 7-on-7. So that was kind of cool to see him talk about like what he saw, what their practices were like back in his day, all that kind of stuff.
That's great. And then one last one on the build up to camp for you, Ron. Was the final week before camp, was it nerves? Was it excitement? Was it like I got to do X, Y, and Z before I go to camp? What were those final days like before report day?
So my rookie year, it was 100% nerves because I had no idea what to expect. I'm like, man, I'm hearing stories about Ray Lewis, and I knew we had drafted Ed Reed in the first round. He and I had been hanging out all OTAs and mini camp and so on and so forth. So it was a little bit of nerves. My second year, it was okay. My third year was coming off of an injury. So again, it was back to more nerves of like, man, like, is my knee going to be okay? Am I going to be 100% when I get back out there? I had been hurt for like 8 weeks, because I hadn't gotten surgery. So it was different every year based off where I thought I would make the team. But my rookie year was more so just like I knew I would make the team because I was a 4th-round pick and we only had 2 other receivers. But it was like, man, what is an NFL 2-a-day like? Because my dad scared the crap out of me and told me about 3-a-days that the Steelers did and how much they hit and how much. And then I'm like, we hit, but it wasn't like my dad thought it was going to be. It had changed drastically by 2002. But I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous because he was telling me about some of the stuff they went through in training camp. So I was like, oh, my God, we're going to die.
3-a-days.
3-a-days.
That's next
in the
level.
Scorching heat. Ron, give me one of your favorite training camp stories that happened, like behind the scenes for you and teammates hanging out during the downtime. Like, we always think about Madden tournament. What are you guys doing behind the scenes? Ping pong battles, nighttime routines. Was there any like veterans messing around with the rookies or what?
Oh, yeah. So 2004, I think, because Ray Lewis was the 2004 cover athlete, I think is what it was for Madden.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, 2004, 2005, one of them. Mm-hmm. But that 3-4 season of like Madden building up to Ray Lewis, they bought us the game early, so we were out there playing. Yeah, we had actual brackets. Like we literally had a board. We drew brackets. The brackets were based off like we knew who the great guys were, so they got the 1, 2, and 3 seeds. And then the rest of the guys kind of like had to pull numbers out of a hat to figure out where you were seated. And legit, I mean, guys were like, okay, this game's at 9 a.m. Those guys would play. Next game's at noon. Mm-hmm. We were trying to fit it in, and we were getting tournaments in like at least once a week, during camp. And honestly, it made the time go by fast. That was one. The other one was my rookie year. I was doing an interview with Sage Steele, and Javen Hunter is waiting to go next. He was the other rookie. And behind me is an Escalade going on a tow truck. Brand new, though. 24-inch rims, TVs, sound system, brand new Escalade. It's Javen's Escalade. So then you see Javen running behind me because he's trying to catch the tow truck guy to be like, dude, what are you doing in my car? Guy ends up taking it. They put it at like a dry cleaners like 5 miles away and put a for sale sign with his cell phone number on it. So people were blowing him up because they said it was $10,000 for a brand new Escalade, 2002 Escalade. So people were blowing him up like, yo, I'll take it. So he was pissed. But it was because he wouldn't get on the table and sing his school fight song. Like he tried to fight the system and he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't.
You got to let go.
Song. Yeah. So he wouldn't do it.
Hey, I got to ask because I was a diehard Madden nerd growing up. Who was the best Madden guy? Do you remember? Who won it? Who won the tourney?
I know I won one of them because I also won.
Sure you
people
did.
don't know this.
Yeah,
no,
of course.
You could check facts. I won the rookie one that the 32 rookies that got sent to LA. The Hey Rookie in it. Yeah,
okay.
The Hey Rookie year in the NFL. I won that one.
Oh.
So we played the Madden game early with them, and I won that because I ended up winning like the Xbox, the backpack. And then I got an additional, like, I forgot how much cash they gave me, but it's like an additional $5 or $10,000.
Ooh.
But I won the rookie one my rookie year. I was, like I said, I was addicted, man. I used to play. I would come home at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I would play until like 5 a.m. the next day if I knew I didn't have to get up early. Mm-hmm. I was addicted, man. So, like, that's why I'm glad I'm done with it. But, yeah, I was one of them. I'd say Chester Taylor was another one. Like, he was super good because he would run the ball, the crap out the ball.
Of course he would.
And
on brand.
And I'm trying to think. There was one other person. I can't remember who. But, yeah, I know it's Chester Taylor was one of them because he literally had stick. Like, he walked around with a controller. Like he'd have like a backpack, a football, and his own. Especially when games went Wi-Fi and you could you could Bluetooth or Wi-Fi your controller. Yeah, he no matter whose game he played on, he had to have his controller. So he walked around with his controller everywhere.
This was PlayStation 2 console days, Xbox?
No, this was when the Xbox first came out. Like it was kind of right around the white with the green and the red ring of death. Like it was like that first implementation of Xbox.
Well, okay, so I mean, it's kind of related to my question, which is like, what's like the biggest challenge of being in training camp? Well, especially as a rookie, but just like generally, is it the boredom? Is it the hours? Is it, trying to learn the playbook as quickly as possible? Like, what's the biggest challenge?
All the above. You got the boredom because there's going to be times where there's nothing to do and you got to make the best of your time and not get in trouble. That's one. A lot of guys get in trouble. I mean, you think about coach tells you, hey, man, you guys are off. It's 5 o'clock. You're off. I don't want to see you guys to 7 a.m. the next day. That's a long time if you don't really know what you're doing or what you're supposed to be doing. And so the veterans are the guys, especially the married veterans. I learned that too late, honestly. I wish I had learned it earlier. The married veterans are the best guys because they will do, like, they'll go home, they'll eat dinner, they'll hang out with their family, they'll get treatment, they'll watch some tape. Us younger guys, we're like, man, let's go play some video games. Let's go down to the mall. Let's do this. And it's just that. You're fighting that. Then you're fighting injury and soreness. Am I hurt or am I injured? Like, is it just hurt and soreness or am I actually injured? And you have to fight through that, like hips, legs, hamstrings. Trainers ask you every day, are you hurt or are you injured? Like, can you go today? And we know that story. Can you go today? Can you go today? So it's making sure you're getting in the training room when you don't have anything to do. And then the playbook, like the playbook is like, as a coach, even it was super tough when my first year coaching with the Colts, because trying to figure out what the hell Peyton Manning's talking about, but then also what Tom Moore is about to say in the headset. And then you got to worry about Howard Mudd being pissed off that Peyton's trying to run ISO into an 8-man box just to prove that play action works. Like there's a, so as a coach,
So
I'm like fighting like my own headset. Like what am I supposed to write down? Because I was the write down guy. I had to write down what I just heard. And I'm like, I don't know what I just heard. And so I would kind of like write a couple things, and then I would ask, I would tell Jim Sorgi, like, yo, what was that? And he'd be like, oh, that was Florida. And I'd be like, all right, Florida. Like, because Peyton had a way to get the plays without getting to the play the way we wanted him to. But it would still be the play. And so that was the funniest, is like Howard Mudd and Tom Moore. I'll never forget, Peyton Manning had MRSA. And so he was out for like a couple weeks. He got cleared by the trainer. So the trainers came to the coach's meeting room, 7 a.m., 6 a.m., probably 6:30 a.m. Say, hey, Peyton's cleared. He'll be there at meetings. Howard Mudd, you would have thought he said, your mother just died. Like, he put his head down. And he's like, man. And it was almost like, man, these last 2 weeks have been so peaceful of camp without Peyton. And then Peyton shows up, and it was still fine. But Peyton's just a lot. He wants you to be perfect. He wants everything to be run 15 times. A 15-minute walkthrough with Peyton is 45 minutes. And so that was the toughest for me, is like learning that playbook. Like, but the Ravens playbook wasn't as hard. I think the Bears going to tight end, it was another one with the playbook, Arif, to your question. Going to tight end, having to learn blocking schemes, protection, and the run game, plus the pass routes. That was tough.
So in your time on headset duty, or I guess anywhere on a sideline, what's the most buck wild thing someone said on a headset? What's the most out of pocket quote you can come up with?
Yeah,
like in game, like during the game.
Yeah, I'm talking like heated sideline moments, because I know it gets wild on there.
Yeah, there's a Ravens one. I'm not gonna say who said this, but there's a Ravens one, and we come off like we just did like kickoff return or something, and you hear one of the coaches say something like, "Yo, make sure you get that on camera." Fast forward to the next, that Tuesday, we're watching the film. They got the cheerleaders on camera in their Halloween costumes, because they couldn't believe one of the costumes the cheerleader had on. And we were all sitting there like, what are y'all doing right now, man? Like, super wild. But it wasn't like, it was, and then again, this is like 2002. So now we're used to crazy costumes, every frat party, every, sorority college party, those costumes are normal now. But back then it wasn't as normal to just be a cheerleader on the sideline dressed as a nurse. And so like one of the coaches couldn't, it is not the nurse in Scrubs. So, one of the coaches just couldn't believe the outfit they picked.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, I got it.
It wasn't Scrubs. It wasn't Scrubs.
Blink 182 album cover vibes.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
100%.
Another one though with the coach was, and I'm drawing a blank too on this one, wasn't as bad though, but one of the coaches was asking him like, who's going to run this route or something, or who's going to be, because I had to grab receivers to make sure they're in for the right plays. Again, I was the grunt work guy. Hey, we're going to run 484. Make sure Reggie's in for this one. because Reggie would tap out if he's tired, so on and so forth. All I remember is, like, I don't know who was supposed to run it, but all I heard one of the coaches say, F no, there's no way. Pick a different one.
We ain't doing that.
As a former player, I had no idea the coaches were that candid with each other, about players. Because usually you think, like, everybody's a pro, everybody can do. No. F no, he can't do that. No. Switch. Get so-and-so in the game or run a different play. I was just like, all right, hey, Pierre, you're in. And I said, Pierre, go sorry. Because whoever was in the slot, they were like, no, he's not going to do it right. And it's not going to work. So put Pierre in. So I put Pierre back in the slot. So it was like Reggie, Pierre, and I forgot who was on the outside. It might have been Anthony Gonzalez back then. But yeah, I was so thrown back by how candid the coaches. A college one though, Luke, and this is like Glenn Mason and Dave, no, not Dave Shaw. What was it? David Gibbs. His dad was the Gibbs coach for the Redskins. Mason called some play. Gibbs blitzed, and Mason didn't want him to. I'm talking about Mace threw his entire play sheet across the sideline because he was just done. He's like, but he didn't say forget. Mm-hmm. Forget this. Okay, you want to do it that way? I mean, it was just him and Mace were going at it. We were all sitting there like, oh, okay. All right, so we know who's the alpha, and it was Gibbs. Gibbs was an alpha. He's like, I'm not letting you tell me what I can and can't do with my defense. So yeah, That was another.
Did the play result in like a chunk play or a touchdown or something? Is that why you got so?
No,
just
it was just button heads. It was more of just like, stop doing what you want to do. And I understood Mason, because if you look at the Sun Bowl against Oregon, and we'll never know the truth to this. We got beat because we were up 21-3 or whatever because of the defense Gibbs ran. Now, we don't know if Gibbs was running his defense or he was listening to Mace, because we were trying to figure out why you're sitting back in cover 2 and letting Joey Harrington just pick us apart. Like, go quarters, go man, do something different. And we end up losing. And so we'll never know that story. But, like, I don't know whose defense, but I know him and Mason had butted heads before. So I don't know if that's Gibbs saying, all right, screw it, I'll do it your way and let's see what happens. Or if that was Gibbs, screw you, I'm doing it my way. And then that's probably why Gibbs ended up leaving and having to go to University of Houston. So who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff, Ron. That's awesome insight that you can't get a lot of places. So we appreciate that. You can hear Ron Johnson on the Ron Johnson Show on Tuesdays, Roundtable on Fridays, Minnesota Basketball Party, all the programming here at Locked On Sports Minnesota. He's in the Ozarks. He's in the Ozarks for softball duty.
Through. Look at that. Hey, boat people. Hey.
What a view. Picturesque. I know you got a heart out, Ron. You got to get to softball duty, so we appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Yeah, skills challenge today. My kid is in the running for All-Star. She is 4 for 4. She's got 4 stolen bases.
Okay.
Scored 4 runs, and she went the whole last night as a shortstop and made I still can't believe she made the play. She was at short, got it at second base, and still threw the girl out at first. And she's 13 years old. So she covered a lot of ground. I was super impressed with how she played last night under the lights. So today is the All-Star Skill Challenge. There was one other girl that I saw was kind of fast, so we'll see. I'm guessing it's going to be those 2 for the top 2 fastest girls here. But there's some other stuff. Throwing the ball, how hard can you throw it? How hard can you hit the ball? All that other crap. But, yeah, I think she should probably – I mean, if we do well, hopefully we make it to Saturday, she should probably be one of the players to get tournament player of the tournament. So she's having herself a great – she's batting 1,000 right now. So, I mean, the Twins might be able to use her.
Yeah, ripping it up.
He's going places.
Let's go. For sure.
Love it. All right, Ron.
It.
We'll be in touch. Thanks.
Yeah, Ron.
Ron from the Ozarks. When we return, Mr. Mankato predictions on the Minnesota Football Party. We're brought to you today by LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. Not only just quality, qualified. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. They've got the tools to help find those pros for your team faster and for free. This isn't your typical job board. You hire professionals you can't find anywhere else because those who aren't actively searching for a new job might be open to the perfect role. So in a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. If you're not on LinkedIn, you're in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Small businesses wear a lot of hats. LinkedIn makes it easy. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring, so post your job for free and be like them at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl, linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, we have reached the Mr. Mankato nomination segment. I've got 7 names that I've written down that I think are semi-likely. I'll pepper off a couple of them. I don't want to take them all. Luke, I'm going to say Malik Knowles for you. I'm going to go with.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yep. You're welcome. Dwayne McBride, I think, is a strong contender, and I think he definitely qualifies as a second-year player who did not really see the field in year one.
Running back has never won, by the way. That surprised me. I feel like that's obviously a popular choice. We know they're going to get the ball a lot, maybe some splash plays, but that was interesting. But I like McBride for sure.
That's a stunner to me. Good research on your part. Dwayne McBride, though, I think would be one of the top 3-4 favorites. I think Lucky Jackson and Thayer Thomas, couple second-year receivers coming back. Thayer, I really like. I think Thayer Thomas could be a strong contender. Those are my initial thoughts. I've got a few more, but I don't want to take them. Inman, who else you got?
Yeah, Gabe Murphy, can a UDFA win it back-to-back years? Pace comes in last year. He wins it. Maybe Gabe Murphy. He's got a lot of hype as that UDFA. I don't know if this is the time to make our official predictions. I'm probably just going to run it back with Jalen Nailor. That was my pick last year. I have our picks from last year, by the way. Jalen Nailor was my pick. Started out hot, burnt out, got hurt, never really came back to the pack. But Jalen Nailor, if he can stay healthy, I feel like is a safe bet to at least be in the mix at the end of the week.
Jalen Nailor, would he qualify is the question.
Oh, I guess that's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
He's scored in the league before.
Yeah.
And again, subjective threshold.
No, you're right.
Chris Long has been the odds maker in the past. That's a fringe. That's a fringe one. What else we got?
I try to think of like rookies or like young players who we're already a little excited about. So maybe a potentially off the wall one. Can a kicker win it? Because I feel like if Will Reichard knocks back a whole bunch of 60-yarders in the wind, like I feel like he could get people excited enough to win it, which would just spell a ton of doom. By the way, Reef, you're muted.
A special teamer has never won it as well. So I'm with you. I actually like Will Reichard.
Like, is that eligible? Can he?
I think so. I'm sure he's eligible. I don't think there's a problem with that. I just don't know, because the best a kicker can do is not screw up, right? Like, yeah, I get 60 yards in the wind. That looks cool, but it's really tough. Actually, kind of for the same reason that I'm not surprised a running back has ever won it. It's really difficult to build camp hype for a running back, like, because you can't really tell if they're doing well, and like there's no tackling, so you don't see them break tackles. Adrian Peterson would always take it to the house, and you knew it was kind of fake, right?
He did.
Like, it's like, okay, great.
It's kind of a dick move.
The whole crowd, though.
Yeah.
Ooh, ah.
Hey, who won it? Mike Boone had an unbelievable preseason, his rookie year, I think. Who won it in?
Yeah, who won it
Was
that
it
year?
2018 or 19? Do you have
18
that?
18 was Sloter. 2019, check this out. I don't think any of you guys would guess this. Brandon Dillon, tight end, UDFA.
Yeah.
Oh, the Marion Flash.
The Marion Flash.
Yeah. Brandon Dillon. Yeah, great guy.
I think that was a rough year for it.
Made the roster out of nowhere.
Right? Like,
I think so.
it goes to the guy that like gets a little hype.
Yeah.
And I feel like
and I think
Reichard's
it's
already
just
got
hard-
that. Like, Collar's hyping him up.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it's hard to build that hype for a kicker after a certain point.
He would have to hit a couple of those like end of practice 2-minute drill, like multiple.
Yeah.
Right.
And in the
But if he did
preseason, hit
that-
like a 65-yarder. Yeah.
Yeah.
So certainly there's a scenario, but it just
We're so
seems
thirsty
kind
for a kicker. I feel like it's not going to take that much.
Yeah. He would
I feel like
be the guy,
anything
I
that's
feel
like, oh my god, we have a kicker and he's
But it's
solid,
also-
is going to get everybody doing backflips.
It's also on the knife's edge, though, right? Because he just has to miss like 2 kicks, and he's out of the running entirely.
Yeah, one extra point. He's toast.
Yeah. For me, I mean, it's hard for me to move on from Gabe Murphy. You already mentioned him, but like he was like the highest ranked UDFA. You know, he's an edge rusher. he was productive in college, so it's kind of easy to see what the pathway for that is. I guess I'll just go with the other. I'm not saying it with my chest, but I'll just go with it anyway. I'll go with the other highly ranked UDFA, Dwight McLaughlin. There's opportunity available at cornerback. I don't know that, like, for example, Andrew Booth, right, is just like, if he gets cut, no one's going to be super shocked or anything like that. So I think that McLaughlin can, work his way up potentially to be like the fourth cornerback, which would be pretty significant. Like, you just get a couple of pass deflections, an interception or two in practice, have a good preseason game, and there you are, right?
Yeah.
I think a quarterback has won it before. Certainly we've had defenders win it, right? Like
I feel like Holton Hill won it once.
To Sean
Dantzler,
Bauer.
Yeah.
Also
Yeah,
won
Dantzler
it.
won it. Yeah, I still don't
Bauer,
like
yeah.
that third rounders are eligible, honestly. The fact that Dantzler won it is a bit of a travesty to me, but that's neither here nor there.
Asamoah, another third rounder in 2022,
Hate
I
it.
believe, won it as well.
Hate
Yeah.
it.
I like
It feels so
McLaughlin as
default.
well. Couple
against the spirit of
UDFAs
the thing.
again, maybe back-to-back UDFAs coming off Ivan Pace last year. I still think just looking at the list here of winners, I still think the wise bet is to go wide receiver, because there's been 3 wide receivers to win it of these 10 guys. So by far the most of any one position. You got Thielen, Diggs, KJ Osborne. So you mentioned Thayer Thomas. I do like Lucky Jackson, but if Jalen Naylor isn't eligible, I will go with Malik Knowles. Who knows? It would probably only take, we'll see how this whole kickoff thing looks in the preseason. First time we're going to see it. It'd probably only take one splash play to the house, right? On kick return or special teams to at least be in the mix at the end. So Malik Knowles, I'll go with Malik Knowles.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I loved him coming in last year, and then unfortunately we didn't see him at all.
Yeah.
So he really is on nobody's radar, which gives him a low barrier to surpass expectations. And then if suddenly if he's making plays in games, then he's on the radar. How about a wild card, Levi Drake Rodriguez, filling a void at interior defensive line?
I think it's really hard for someone in the trenches to get it, but I guess Deshaun Bauer got it, so you probably have to get like sacks.
Yeah. I mean, you can.
T.Y. McGillett.
It is hard
McGill,
for that
yeah.
position to it is hard for that position to generate the camp hype, and then you also have to carry it into the preseason with 1 or 2 standout performances. But I can see it. Like
I think, did Deshaun
Yeah.
Bauer have a 3-sack preseason game? Is that kind of what put him on the map? Or am I thinking
He
of
had
somebody
something
else?
crazy.
Not
Yeah,
McGill.
I remember him
Yeah.
like
Something
super
crazy,
blowing
right?
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one splash
knocking
game.
Scott
Sometimes
Creighton
that's all
off the
that takes.
roster.
It's just one splash game in the preseason. In the box score numbers, somebody blows up, and then all of a sudden, that's enough momentum to carry through the rest of training camp and take it.
I think it's
do you guys-
open enough for that kind of thing to happen with like a fairly unlikely person, like especially guys like Murphy and McLaughlin and Rodriguez that are probably going to be playing against third teamers.
Yeah.
Like just like dunk on those guys a couple times, and then like I don't know who else is it going to be. They didn't draft anybody in the middle 100 picks.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Also, it should be noted that like it would not be an enormous shock if a 7th round rookie ended up starting at defensive tackle given this roster construction. Like, you beat out Jerry Tillery. Great.
Yeah.
So a 7th rounder starting is almost like an automatic Mr. Mankato pick, and the pathway there is pretty open. I'm not going to say easy, but it's pretty open. I don't think Jaquelin Roy amazed us enough last year for us to say that that's like a spot that he should win or anything. So, yeah, it's there for Levi Drake Rodriguez.
Yeah, I could see
think
that.
if he gained the weight he was supposed to gain, he probably is more in the Harrison Phillips, Jaquelin Roy part of it, and less in the Jerry Tillery, Dean Lowry memorial role.
Dean Lowry Memorial.
Do you guys want your predictions from last year?
Yeah.
Of course. Come on.
Okay, these predictions were made on Monday, July 24th, 2023.
Wow.
First of all, I just got to say, none of us picked Ivan Pace. And it's just
Really
funny because all we did, all of us, all 4 of us, is we all gushed about him the entire months of July and August. So I
mean,
think it's
sometimes
funny.
We're trying to be hipster.
Yeah, sometimes we
Going
zig
against
too
the
much
grain.
when
Yeah.
other people are zagging. Like Brett Coleman was like, "This guy is the dude," and we're like, "Okay, everyone's talking about Ivan Pace. We can't."
Yeah,
It's
I'm not going
enough.
shock.
Enough.
Who's going shock. Yeah. Okay, so I picked Jalen Naylor. Sam, you picked Jaron Hall. Braun, you picked Mekhi Blackman. And Arif, you picked Dwayne McBride, who was kind of a sexy pick as well. I think a lot of people like that running back pick there on day 3.
Yeah. So Braun would probably be the closest to victory
I think
of
so.
the 4 of us.
I
Naylor
just
got
went
hurt.
with the lame third rounder.
Yeah.
Thinking that they would just go with that by default. Now I remember.
Yeah, the odds, I don't know what the odds were. We haven't seen what the Chris Long odds are, but I'm guessing Blackman was up there. Probably, but Hall and Naylor probably were too. Couple wild cards, Ty James and Trey Knox. I think Trey Knox in particular could be the Brandon Dillon, the tight end that emerges and makes the roster and then plays for a couple games, makes a catch. Because of the TJ Hawkinson injury.
Tunyon's not eligible, right?
No, of course. What?
No,
No.
Of course not, right?
He's done stuff in the league. If you've done basically anything.
Has Samus Reyes done enough in the league? I feel like
I
he's
don't
been
think
on
so.
some practice squads.
He's
but-
been on some practice squad. I don't think he's done
Yeah.
enough. I think
He would be.
But what is it? Has he scored? I guess is what the answer. I don't know.
I don't believe he has.
Okay, we're gonna need a locked-in name at this point in the program. Luke,
Yes,
you sticking
starting
with
the game.
Knowles?
I'm sticking with Knowles. Yep, another wide receiver. A little bit more of a dark horse compared to like Thayer Thomas or Lucky Jackson. Jalen Naylor, obviously not eligible anymore. So yeah, give me Malik Knowles. Yep.
Okay, Braun.
My head says to pick McLovern, but I think it's a lot funnier if I go with the kicker. So I'm going to go with Reichert.
Somebody's got to pick him. I like it.
Nice. Okay. I'll pick Gabe Murphy, which isn't chalk but feels chalk. You know?
It's kind of
Who is Chalk?
I don't know, man. We don't have a 3rd round pick, right? So we
Yeah.
can't just grab
Like
that
all the
guy.
day 3 guys are in the trenches.
Yeah, no
It's-
O-lineman.
It's not gonna be
has
Walter
ever won
Rouse.
it. Yeah, no O-lineman has ever won it. No running backs ever won it. No special teamers ever won it. No fullbacks ever won it.
Yeah, TJ
time.
Clemmings
Time
really
for
should have won it,
specialist.
huh? 4th round pick ends up starting? Come on. What's not to like?
I'm going Thayer. Thayer the
Thayer.
Slayer.
Thayer the Slayer. Come on.
I just sent those to you guys so we have the record permanently etched in email.
stone.
Training camp questions courtesy of Alec Lewis of The Athletic. We finish up answering those when we return on the Minnesota Football Party. Brought to you today by FanDuel. We love sports. We want to have them year-round. Not always the case. Right now, it's the All-Star break, so there's no baseball, NHL, NBA done. NFL preseason, if you're betting on that, about 3 weeks away. So you've got the British Open or the Open. You got WNBA, not a lot else. But that's okay because at FanDuel, for the sports that are going on, you can get boosted or bonused daily. A boost or a bonus for all customers daily. Something for everyone, every day, all summer long. FanDuel.com. Start making the most out of your summer with some great opportunities at FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, Alec Lewis posed 10 training camp questions at The Athletic. We're going to answer the final 3 of his questions today. Number 8, which is where we're at. Can Blake Brandel fend off Dalton Reisner at the guard position? Luke Braun, you first.
It kind of feels like they expect him to, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is really weird that, like, because of Reisner not getting signed for a little while and he missed like 3 OTAs, that Brandel just gets the job. And now he just has it in a way that, like, if Brandel were to take the job for real, it would have, in a normal scenario, had to be the other way around. But now status quo means Reisner has to take it back. That said, based on the play that the two of them had, if you didn't know which one was which, and you said one of them was a 1st round or a 2nd round pick and an established starter for years, and the other one was a backup doing spot duty, I don't know how easy of a time you would have telling the two apart. I think they're closer than you think. I don't know if one of them emerges past the other enough to upset that status quo. And I guess status quo favors Brandel.
Yeah, feels like his job to lose right now, for sure. I don't think for having Reisner right behind him, breathing down his neck, I personally don't think the leash is going to be as short as some people think either. Like,
No,
even
he's
if
like clearly
struggles-
been told he's a backup.
Right, exactly.
And he's like, yeah, I'm
so
making peace with that. Like, he's already answering questions about it. Like, he's been told he's a backup. Anything can happen in camp, but it's not like a. I don't think they're going to split reps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why he fired his agent. So.
Yeah.
Could he be a camp cut if it doesn't go his way?
Yeah, his contract is structured where they did not. They have like roster bonus, like making the team bonuses.
Yeah, so it's interesting because he's listed as the starter in most non-Vikings media that are attempting to like parse out who the starters are and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I
they
was
just
on
look
a
up and see the
podcast
same guy
this
on
the
the
other
roster.
day, and I mentioned that Blake Brandel is probably going to start, and they were like, "Wait, excuse me." So it is really something where people are kind of not clued in on this one. But yeah, I think it's entirely possible that Dalton doesn't even make the team. That said, I don't know that there's a lot of talent at guard for the Vikings.
You got to get knocked off by like.
Yeah. Does Juergens
Doug
practice
Nestor.
at both center and guard? Does Walter
Probably
Rose
does, yeah.
practice
Jeremy
at guard a
Flax.
little bit? Does Dan Feeney look capable as a backup kind of thing? That's going to be an interesting, not just the start, but the backups. That's going to be an interesting position battle back there for sure.
I think Feeney and Michael Juergens are fighting for a roster spot as like a center guard combo thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I could see that.
I look at some of the guard contracts. Will Hernandez, John Simpson, Jermaine Illuminor, Elijah Vera. No, I guess that's a rookie contract. Some of the veteran guard contracts, I just have a tough time like understanding how Reisner, and maybe this is the agent thing, how he's getting what he's getting based on his age, based on his relative production. It's just surprising to me. I'm still puzzled, but I am not ruling out a Brandel Reisner guard competition or a guard tandem with Ingram being the odd man out. I think that needs to be considered as well.
And who would be who's
Probably
right guard?
Reisner's.
Who's taking Ingram's
Probably
spot?
Reisner's taking Ingram's spot. I think
In that scenario. Reisner.
Brandel plays left guard.
I would assume so. Yeah.
And Brandel's a 4-position guy. I mean, I think it could go either way, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't think Ingram is locked in either. I think that's kind of the scenario that people aren't discussing, is that Reisner is competing not just with Brandel but with Ingram as well.
O'Connell kind of mentioned it, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He kind of was like, there's like three guys we feel good about him.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, personal opinion, but based on last year's play, I think of those three, Ingram's probably the one I'd trust the most.
It's kind of weird to say given his rookie year, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, that's a long way. We're a long ways from that.
No, yeah, I know. It was just like such a disappointing year, and second round pick. What's going on? But
man, dude, if Ingram ends up losing that starting job, man, that 2022 class, as if it couldn't get any worse. Can you imagine? Like the jokes are right.
We just need to cut some of these guys so people will stop complaining about it.
No
kidding. It's like, oh my God, you made your point.
Yeah.
Scene,
get it.
Booth,
The draft class
Ingram,
sucks.
Asamoah,
Yeah,
You're
whatever.
not a
Cry about
draft
Hamilton more. Nobody wants to hear it.
Ty Chandler.
How will the team's run scheme differ from last season? This is a big question.
A running back that can hit a hole.
Yeah, will the scheme change? I don't think it'll change.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to live in a lot of still wide zone, a lot of Zorro with CJ Ham and whatever tight end they have blocking and stuff, but having a running back that can see it and hit it with authority in a way that Madison couldn't. And maybe a little bit of greed too, because Madison, not a greedy running back. Cam Akers, greedy running back, got hurt. Aaron Jones, greedy running back, but like it works all the time.
Yeah, they need that.
That a little bit more greed in the lanes that you pick and looking for more open space, but maybe like tighter holes that can lead to explosion.
Where were they? Does anybody know, just top of their head, where they were ranked as far as like pre-snap motion goes? Because I know that's a KOC kind of thing, right?
That is
was a lot.
Usually Shanny and McDaniels in Miami are like number 1 and 2 with a bullet usually. But I feel like McVay, KOC is just kind of stereotyped as being in that mix as well. Top 10.
Final motion report for the 2023 season. Percentage of motion at the snap, 15th. And because one of these is
You got to remember too, though, the quarterback. I mean, how much? What did they rank with Cousins versus like? Okay, we got Dobbs in here. Like we can't get fancy. Not a lot of window dressing here. You know what I mean?
If I recall, I don't think they really looked at motion as the thing that they were going to simplify. I think that still was like tagged on everything. Okay. And they
15th though. That seems somewhat low, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, middle of the pack. Seth Walder.
Middle of the pack in motion at the snap, but after that, in terms of motion before the snap, that seems to be like 13th or something. So, which is also not a hugely significant change, but these are different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's good to know.
Final question. How much more man coverage is Flores willing to mix in? So again, like this is similar to the run scheme question, right? Is this personnel related? They had injuries late in the year, seemed like they got figured out. Schematic or personnel related, and will it lead to changes defensively?
It's the same group of people plus a classically cover 3 corner in Shaq Griffin. I don't know if we're going to do a lot of it.
To your point, though, I think he definitely wants to run man first and foremost. But I think Ron's right. Like I
need the horses.
Ultimately, only Flores knows that, and I can't imagine a lot will change, at least drastically, right? It's not going to move the needle that much with the group of guys that they're bringing in this year.
Getting smoked on that Keenan Allen game, I don't think you go back to it, because that was the last time that he was like, let's just like do press man and let's just like body these guys. And Keenan Allen put up 2 Husky on you. Like, no.
Not just 2 Husky, like 20 targets and 18 catches.
Yeah. He just like slanted
like
you to death, and they scored it was horrible.
That box score was wild.
The issue is that the scheme was successful because of its novelty, and the novelty wore off week 14. And so, obviously every defensive scheme goes through changes in the offseason. The Mike Zimmer defense went through a lot of changes after 2014 and 15 and 16 and so on. Even after the successful 2017 season, there were changes. They moved from, a primarily cover 3 look to a primarily cover 4 look, right? That's just what they did. Or instead of attacking the A gap, they attacked the B gap on third down. Like, all of these schemes go through changes. That said, I do think that this one might be subject to a little bit more change just because of how much it seemingly relied on the novelty of its approach. And when that's no longer your advantage, you have to make some changes. So I don't know that they'll, be very, dependent on man coverage or anything like that. I don't think the change is going to be that drastic, but I do think that there's probably going to be some changes in the way that defense runs, especially in its blitz packages, that are going to look a lot different than last year, just because last year the wheels fell off.
Does your guys' answer or vibe of that position group change at all if the rumor that we were talking about last week of trading for or signing Marshawn Lattimore, does it change at all?
Yeah, if they trade for Marshawn Lattimore, a lot changes, for sure.
Like, it's you've got a group of people that failed miserably enough at man coverage that Flores invented new coverage ideas. So those guys aren't playing man. You're not just going to run it with those guys now. You already learned that lesson. And then a guy who is, like Shaq Griffin, I do not think of him as like primarily a man corner. And that's the only difference now in the group.
We just don't know if the Caleb Evans has it yet. We don't know if Mekhi Blackman has it yet. Like, there are two just huge uncertainties in that group.
Like, those guys in college, you looked at it and maybe they could be man corners. Like, they've got the
the answer
like
certainly changes if they both end up having it, whatever that means.
Yeah. Like, you need players to get better than they were last year, and I think you need plural iterations of that. And nobody's hanging their hat on that. That would be awesome. If they can, it's a luxury, but I wouldn't hold out hope, y'all.
Can Dwight McGlothern play man?
Yeah, in theory.
Yeah.
In closing, raise your hand if you are panicked about the contract situation with J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner. Raise 2 hands if you are very panicked. So, like, 1 hand.
Let the record show no hands are raised.
Yeah, well, except for the demonstration hand, where Sam teaches us what it means to
raise a hand.
This would have been the 2 hand.
Well, I dropped out of
Thanks, Sam. Got it.
This is never a problem. It always gets done.
Yeah, I would be wildly annoyed if they didn't get done before next week, right? Before training camp, practice one. I would be annoyed. Like, how?
It's kind of funny.
This is insane.
Other Locked On shows are dealing with similar things because a lot of rookies just aren't signed yet. I think a lot of people just like wait till they show up to camp and then do it.
And something to talk about too. Not a ton to talk about. Not necessarily like this is a dig, like we're digging for a story here. Like it is noteworthy for sure. But I would be
honestly. I got to thank the rookies because we are pretty short on storylines generally speaking. I think the rookies understand.
Thanks, JJ McCarthy, for wanting your signing bonus paid in full. All right,
yeah, really appreciate that. You did that for me, McCarthy.
Yeah.
Bron, you coming to training camp this year?
No, I will not be.
Oh, this is a change.
That's fantastic news.
I had a wedding this year instead.
Okay, in that context, less.
Well, this changes everything.
And the wing challenge as well. Don't forget that.
Yeah, and
the wing
challenge.
challenge.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Which is an equal expense.
Equal thing.
Inman and I are gonna go incognito mode. We're gonna sit with like fake mustaches and wigs, just so we're kind of off the radar. Arif, you wanna join us?
Hang out.
I think if I wore a fake mustache, people would know who I am.
Let's
Well,
get the
the wig-
Mission
the
Impossible
wig is
mask.
key. The wig is key.
Let's get the.
Well, I
let's
do
find a
have
gr-
the Luke Braun mask still. So I
There
could
you
just-
go.
Yeah.
Please.
So I
Yes,
could be at camp.
We would expect Luke Braun, but you have to tweet every play.
Yeah.
And shout out a bunch of jargon and lingo that
Zorro.
is on brand. Zorro.
I'll
Zorro.
talk about
Plastic.
kicking mechanics. I'll talk about golf swings. I'm confident.
Niners
Really
Braun
annoyingly
has a-
work figure skating into an article.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Into it,
I bet there's like a ballet take in here too.
Yep.
Ankle flex. Great
Yeah,
ankle flex
for
by
sure.
Malik.
Sure, you want to talk about O-line? Yeah, balance, center of gravity.
Yeah, so
I can make it work.
Find out if Jared Goff is good at the Wide Left Substack. Here, plenty of training camp preview, I imagine, with Locked On Vikings, the Locked On Vikings podcast feed. Check out the postcasts with the Twins starting back up with Luke Inman. And just watch the Locked On Sports Minnesota content with me involved in a lot of it here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota channel. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Roundtable tomorrow, and we'll talk to you on the football party next week.